Welcome back to the Pretty Dangerous podcast. My name is Paige Roux. I'm so excited for this week. Last week, I feel like we were really educational and I was kind of a serious tone, and I kind of want to keep this a little bit more upbeat, a little lighthearted, maybe a little shorter. I want to tell you about my journey into confidence, and I'm still on that journey. I think we are constantly on that journey. I tell people a lot about how I became a firearms instructor, but I don't tell people how my journey personally with being a female, a very girly female in the industry and finding respect in the industry and really building my reputation in this industry, and how all of that kind of came to, but also how does that happen in my personal life? Because I think that's something that I'm really exploring right now. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I think it'll be eye opening for some of you that I didn't just like come out of the womb confident. um, and I still to this day have lots of insecurities, but like how I manage them and how I identify them, I think is truly a superpower for women. And so I kind of want to break that down. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm in my comfy sweater, but then I'm also in my comfy like little linen pants. I've like tapped into this comfy chic vibe recently. Last week I also wore comfy baggy pants, but I'm also loving not wearing leggings all the time. So, you know how I feel? I'm a millennial, but I'm also trying to channel like I don't know, the styles now, and apparently leggings and Converse are not the style right now. So, anyways, stop yapping. Let's get into it. So, I am worried that I'm going to turn this into like a long-winded journey. So, I am going to try to really tighten it up for you. But basically from gosh, early teen years. I have always been told that I act well beyond my years, both in just like self respect, confidence, and wisdom. I have people much older than me who will come to me for advice. I'll be 30 this year. A lot of my friends are older than me. My husband is 9 years older than me. So a lot of our friends are, like I would say 6 to 10 years older than me. And a lot of them like forget how old I am. But even in my younger years, people would think I'm twice the age. And I've always been like, why? Why? I always thought it was my face that I was put together, or I just had like an older, more adult face. But I think it was obviously how I carried myself, how I talk, how I am. And I have been told by therapists, I've done tons of therapy, and friends that how self-aware I am. I'll call myself out if I'm being toxic. I'll call myself out if I'm being insecure. I know when I'm in the right or the wrong. I know when I'm feeling something. I know what's causing that feeling, and it has taken practice. But I think that also is a superpower that we all need to tap into. So I want to share this journey into like three parts. And I'm still exploring this truly. I had to teach myself a lot of things, I think, on like the personal, emotional level, just from just like a trauma instance in my childhood. But I went from when we're talking about like fight or flight or like trauma responses, I have gone from a stage of being mean, like really mean, act intimidating. And that was like my fight stage. And then I flipped and I went into the fawn stage. And this was like when I let everything down. I make myself smaller to make others feel more comfortable. And now I'm entering this stage of like, I don't have to be either. I can be kind of in that middle of I don't need to make myself feel smaller or look smaller to make someone else feel better about themselves. I've done so much work in making myself feel confident and capable, and I deserve to be confident and capable. And If someone feels uncomfortable by that, that is their own fault. It is not my job to make them, in my personal life, right? To make them feel comfortable. So how how I got into this and like what this journey has been like for me. It's been a journey, seriously. It started with my fight phase, right? And kind of like why I became an instructor. I talk about this in my rebrand, but when I was 13, I was sexually abused by a older teenager, about 4 or 5 years older than me. It went on for about 9 months before my family found out. That, like, I've been through therapy. We're not talking about that. It's fine. But what came out of that was I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't know how to speak for myself. I didn't know a lot of things. I was 13. So I didn't know what was right and wrong. And I was just told that like that was something that I wanted. So it, I felt, and this is like years of my therapy, but in that time, I, no one really believed me that I didn't choose for that to happen to me. And so I really just like lost my support system and I just was like, oh gosh, I'm going into high school with already these like preconceived notions about me. I don't know how to process like what has happened to me. My support system is gone and my parents think that I wanted this. So I'm going in and I basically like my trauma response from what I've learned, which is really interesting of like both therapy and functional medicine, that my body went into a trauma response of fight. And I actually stayed in this fight trauma response. I'm technically still in it, but I'm like actively trying to work out of it. And it's been 17 years. So what's really interesting is I go into fight, which means in my head, I go, if I'm going to be bullied or talked about, I'm going to control the narrative. And so I just became mean. I wanted to be intimidating. I wanted to be unapproachable. Because if I came across that way, no one would want to mess with me. And I was just like very short tempered. I was controlling the situation. I was like the friend who led everything. And I look back and I was like, gosh, I was really mean. I ended up losing like my best friend my junior year. And so I graduate at this time. I am working at my dad's shooting range, and my dad's shooting range is Shooter's World. We've owned the ranges since 2002. I grew up doing this. People think like I was just like confident because of that. It helped me gain confidence for sure of it, like being in the workplace and loving what I do and loving work and becoming an instructor, of course. But like the interpersonal experience I have recently like kind of discovered, which is really interesting. So I'm working at my parents' store at this time, and I'm working the front desk, working on like membership and education. So I'm loving that. And then I become an instructor. When you turn 21, you can be at the time, I became an NRA certified instructor, and I was going to college for business, and then I transferred to ASU for hospitality management. I wanted to be a wedding planner. So I'm teaching classes like once a month. And what this helped me do in this transitional phase from fight to fawn was when I became a really good teacher. I loved listening to people. And I think the reason why I loved listening was because I never felt like I was heard. And so I listened to people and I loved empowering people. Like I loved that transition from seeing someone go from like that intimidation, like shoulders crunched, like fear to fierce. And I loved that transition and I loved learning how I can help women feel that way. But on the same side, I learned that I was an authority, right? When you go to a class, this instructor, it can be intimidating. And being a woman was helpful teaching women's classes. If you're a female and you have that, like, I don't want to be, I feel more comfortable learning from a female. It's that intimidation factor. And so that helped. But also, I kind of went into classes and training people to lower myself to help them open up and feel comfortable and welcome to learning with me. And while that was really helpful and I think healthy, in the work world, I noticed I really didn't, I honestly didn't notice. I ended up doing it in my personal life. And I had recently learned like being mean isn't going to make me liked or respected. So why don't I do the exact opposite? And why don't I fawn and make myself smaller to help other people feel comfortable? So I was growing my social media. I was being vulnerable on my social media and uh, doing these, concealed carry outfits and growing my social media following. Well, having my social media for about 5, 6 years, I realized I fawned really hard. I realized I was fawning so hard and in my personal life that I almost I was losing my own confidence. Like I was questioning, wait, am I good at what I do? Am I actually like as qualified as I am? Like it almost was at my detriment to helping others feel more confident. But I was doing it in my work and my personal life, and I should have just been doing it in my work life. But being in social media, like your work and your personal life kind of blend. I realized I wouldn't dress up as much as I would want to. I wouldn't do my makeup as often. I kind of like grunged myself down to so I didn't look like I was like, I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard. I didn't want to outshine other women and like have this idea of like, oh, who's this girl coming in? And I would overshare personal feelings. I would overshare like personal experiences into helping women feel comfortable with me and safe with me. And that is something that I do in my work life to help students like feel comfortable with me and I teach them. But doing it in my personal life, I felt exposed. Why am I sharing this with someone that doesn't deserve to know that about me? Why am I sharing all of this personal information or and you know how I talk about boundaries and I kind of let my boundaries down. And it was eye-opening to me. And this has been a journey that I've been on for about a year now of like, whoa, I need to rein this in. I don't like how I feel. I felt my anxiety increase. I felt, like I said, I felt exposed. And then I felt taken advantage of. I would over offer myself. I would make myself too available for people. And in my mind, I was like, well, this is how I'm liked. And if you have ever felt this way, like I think this is a very common feeling for women of like, do you ever like leave a lunch and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I share that? Or was that because I like had one too many mimosas or margaritas? Or did I do that because I was like trying to like continue the conversation and not have empty space? Um, I was doing that and it's not something that I've ever done before. Or when you leave and you go, wait, why did I say yes to that person? Why did I why did I change my entire plans for my weekend for this person who isn't a who's more of an acquaintance to me? Why am I doing that? I would catch myself doing this often and it stressed me out. It caused more anxiety for me. And then I caught myself being like, if I'm getting dressed, I would want to put a cute outfit on. I'm like, wait, oh, this is gonna look like I'm trying to outshine other women who I'm gonna be around, and they don't dress up when we're going to this specific place or activity, so I'm gonna dress myself down. And that just sucked. Like I felt like I lost so much confidence and so much of myself and so much of my peace. So now I realized Fawn was not going to work, and I definitely knew that fight was not going to work. So I was like, what do I do? I went back to therapy and I was kind of like exploring my new boundaries in my new life and relationships and the separation of my work and my personal life and how to be confident, but how to do it on my terms and how to show real like boundaries. But doing it with peace and not worrying about what other people have to say about you. And that's difficult being someone who is online and has a large online presence, but then also being vulnerable and having a different personal life. So I'm in this transition of not being fight, not being fawn, but being in the middle. I am someone who loves to observe. I observe people all the time, and I am a listener. And so something that I think has helped me is I observe people who I look up to and people who make me feel uncomfortable. Really, I just like observe people all the time. I have this person that's in my brain where we were acquaintances, I would say, kind of friends. Um, and they talked all the time. Like I was around people who just loved to talk. And I would observe people who would do that, who are, the loud person in the room, the person who always has something to say, the person that people listen to. They are sometimes, they're funny or they're just like the loudest person in the room. You have that person and you think, do I compete with that person? Or do I just like be quiet? So I'd observe those people and then I would observe the people who were quiet, but then I would observe the people kind of in between. I would observe the people who didn't say a lot, but when they had something to say, people listened. The chatter decreased and people wanted to hear what that person had to say. But what that person said was wise and informative and clear and confident. And when I was transitioning from fawn to this transitional phase of where I'm at now in my confidence journey, I was like, I want to be that person. I wanted to be that person where if I do have something to say, I don't want to feel like I have to raise my voice or fight over someone in order to be heard. So I created that boundary for myself. And my family and people in my personal life know this now. I will not be talked over. That's a boundary that I've set in this like transitional phase. I will not be talked over. If someone talks over me, I just stop talking. And if I have something to say, or if I have input, I will say it at this tone. And if they can't hear me, they can come closer or they can say something. But what that does, I think for me, was I don't have a lot of things to say, but when I do know that it is important and I want it to be intentional and I don't want it to be filler words. I love silence. I think silence in a conversation is powerful because you're either listening or it shows that you are just comfortable with with a couple seconds of silence. You're comfortable with thought, you're comfortable being in your space and not having this like overstimulation, and that's created peace for me. It's also created peace because I don't feel like I have to like fight to be heard. If someone wants to hear what they have to say, they will listen. And if they don't, I've I've accepted that that's okay. If they didn't hear me or they were so focused on what they had to say or filling the space with sound, with voice, that is that is not my fault and that's okay. And that has created really powerful conversations for me. It's made me a better listener and it's made me a better observer and processor of information. I don't leave conversations being like, why did I say that? Why? I don't word vomit anymore. I know what I'm about to say and I say it with confidence. And so that has brought me a lot of peace. And then the appearance side of me going from like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna dress how these people are going to dress to make them feel more comfortable. I said, screw that. I'm done with that. I purged my closet. Purged my closet, you guys. Probably took out half of my closet for like the past 5 years. I was like, I'm getting rid of all of this. And I am going to dress exactly how I want to dress. And sometimes I'm a trendsetter, sometimes I'm not, and that's okay. But I'm gonna wear whatever the heck I want to. If I want to wear a dress or something beautiful, like I'm going to church or brunch, or like I'm gonna dress exactly how I want to dress. And I want to dress up for myself. I want to feel good about myself. Um, but I'm actively practicing it, doing it for me and not for other people. If you are going to out somewhere with the girls or you're going somewhere with another female, do you text, "What are we wearing?" If you do that, you are trying to match or fit in with someone, and now you are not being true to yourself. And I think that causes insecurity because when you're dressing up for someone or you're going to brunch, you're not even thinking about what does Paige want to wear? You're thinking about, oh my gosh, what is she going to wear? And what if she outshines me? Or what if she dresses up? Or what if she dresses down and I dress up and now we're not matching or now we're not coordinating? Or, oh my gosh, maybe I'm going to make her feel less than. Oh my gosh, just calm down. Just quiet your mind. Like, I did that. I'm so guilty of it, but I stopped doing it. I'm gonna wear what I want to wear. I don't want to show up to brunch wearing literally where people look and they go, wow, they called each other before they came. In my head, I was like, no, why am I doing that? So that is another boundary I set. I said, I'm gonna dress exactly how I want to dress. And I I want I don't want to match other women because or I don't want to match my friends because my friends and I have different styles. We have different personalities, and that should be celebrated. And that has helped my confidence. And I've realized that the friends who, the friends in my circle who don't ask are the ones that I feel most confident with. And those are the friends that I feel safest with, physically and emotionally. I know that I show up and I feel good and they feel good. I don't have to worry about how they feel. And I don't have to they don't have to worry about how I feel. And kind of bringing myself back to that ground zero of this is my life, these are my feelings. You always hear like, don't worry about what they have to say or don't worry about what other people think. And then you put something on and you probably don't even realize that you're worrying about what other people think. So this transition of like my confidence journey, it's fluid. And I think it's important to know that like your confidence journey is fluid, but being mindful of it is so important. Like even writing something down of whether it's you put an outfit on or you put that gun on or you're in a class, you're in your first shooting class, like making note, whether it's in your head or physically writing something down or jotting a note down in your phone of what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling it? And what am I doing to cause it? And what can I do to fix it? Making note of that will help you improve drastically. And this will help you in your self defense and your personal protection journey as well, because being confident is a tool, is a weapon, is something that you need. Being confident and showing confidence is important. And I think for me in this journey of going from fight to fawn to whatever, this I think true confidence, true internal confidence, and peace is what I'm going to call this little stage, was acting confident, but I wasn't feeling confident. And that's something that I am learning and exploring in this new phase of my peace and confidence. And so I challenge you. I think I think it's so interesting. Like girls are just odd. Girls are weird. Like we're like, "What are you wearing?" I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to wear yet. What are you wearing? And then you're letting like someone else make that decision for you. Why are you doing that? If you're in a conversation, think, am I the one who talks? Am I the reason why there is no silence in the room? And do I like that? Why am I doing that? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing by any means. I'm not saying that you have to be quiet. This is just something that like truly what I feel like and what I enjoy and what brings me peace because I'm kind of like that in between of extrovert and introvert. Being extroverted is exhausting to me. And so, you true extroverts out there, like applause to you. We need you. But be mindful of what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. And think of the people in your life that you're bringing energy to. And why are you bringing energy to them? What I learned was I was bringing energy to people who I wanted to be accepted by and not putting my energy and time into people who already accepted me. That was wild. And so writing things down and like making note of it is incredibly important. And I look at it as like my world and my life and my circles and how this helps me in my personal and my business life. My business and how I teach will never change. Like I love what I do and I love being a fawn in that world. I think it's incredibly helpful and important, but transitioning that my personal life can be different and should be different. And I should be able to create boundaries in my personal life while still being respectful to people and being respected by people is it a really interesting journey. And so I just want to share that like this confidence world isn't about it's not about putting the outfit on. It's not about putting a confident outfit on. It's about choosing the outfit without any external opinion. It's about not about being the loudest or the quietest or having this like RBF don't mess with me face. Surrounding yourself with people intentionally, not just filling your schedule. It's not about over offering yourself and spilling the beans on your entire life. It's about creating clear boundaries and creating clear expectations for yourself and others. It's, I have to literally practice this right now. I go, okay, I'm going with this person or I'm hanging out with this person. I am not going to share this, or this. Or if they ask me to do something, I am not going to say yes in that moment. I'm going to say, absolutely, let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. Because now that buys me time. And then I can think, okay, do I want to do this? Is this going to affect my goals? Is this going to affect my life? I'm buying myself time. So, gosh, you guys, it's a journey. And being a girl and the emotions, like, it's a process. And I'm not perfect. It's, like I said, it's a process. I've got ups, I've got downs, I've got things where I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. And I've got things where I'm like, I handled that situation beautifully. But it's not just about how you look. Put the gun on and wear the badass outfit and walk in with your head held high. You got to feel it. And that's what I was missing. I was acting like it, but I wasn't feeling it. And that's been a really fun journey. And I think it's eye-opening to a lot of people when I do share stuff like this. And I hope it provides you with like a little bit of insight of like, comment below whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, message me. Is this something that you do? And do you feel confident while doing it? Or do you feel kind of like out of control of your own life? Like you kind of feel exposed, you feel vulnerable, you're like, oh, like there's too much of me out there and I don't feel like myself. I don't feel confident. Um, I'd be curious. Kind of wild being a girl. Guys are so easy. Guys are like, I'm gonna wear what I want, say what I want, and people are still gonna like me. I'm like, whatever. All right. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. If I rambled, I'm sorry, but also like that's what you signed up for. Here I am. I'm not scripting any of my episodes. I don't want to. Like, I just want to chat and I want to be authentic and I want to like say whatever comes to my mind. Mm, maybe some of them I script. I don't know. Do you like more of like the unhinged page of just me chatting, or do you want me to like script things out? Let me know. If you bought linen pants, also let me know. And if you like them, and these ones are Abercrombie. If you are a tall girl, Abercrombie has them in tall, which is lovely. Also, I've gotten them from Fashion Nova, but you cannot get linen pants if you're a tall girl from Amazon because they, well, they're capris. So let me know if you have anything, any questions, or if you have any suggestions for future podcasts, anything that you want me to go over, whether it's training or life or personal or whatever. We're just some girly girls on a journey to be confident. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing. And we will see you next week. Bye bye.